looking out onto my eyelashes in an agony of delightful anticipation.
Listen to them, the children of the night. What music
Recorded at the D&E Studios, welcome to the Dracula Podcast. I am your host, Lawrence Burgess, or LB for short. Thank you to Adam Stover, Rob, and Martha of Southgate Media, and most of all, you for listening. You can find us everywhere: Facebook, iTunes, Twitter, Libsyn, Stitcher, and a whole mess of other places on your friendly interwebs. If you want to get in touch with us, contact us directly at audio.dracula@gmail.com or search for us on Facebook at Dracula Audio, no spaces. Don't forget, we're brought to you by the Foxborough in Charleston, West Virginia, the industry leader in scoring, multi-track audio recording, mixing, mastering, and graphic design. Contact Greg Hunt at 1007 Bigley Avenue, Suite 319, Charleston, West Virginia, 25302. We have quite a bit to cover today with Casting Dread, as well as our fifth of our 8-part history into yesteryear covering the Universal Monsters franchise. John Johnson is back. We crack Dracula's daughter and the son of Frankenstein. Have some good news, and I have some bad news. And the bad news, unfortunately, is much more important than the good. D&E has been recognized for our work in screenwriting. We took home 4 of the 6 awards. I'm very appreciative. Moreover, I lost one of my best friends a few days ago. He died from injuries sustained in an accident. I hadn't seen Ed Mizik in a few years, as he lives in the Bahamas, but he went to school with me during my undergraduate studies. I can't tell you how eviscerated I feel inside, nor can I relay to you how sick I am. I don't understand why good people go so quickly. It's as if the powers that be say, here's your light, don't burn it too hot, or you'll burn through it too fast. I don't know what to take from it, only that my heart is broken, and I know that the friends and family of Ed Mizik are breaking too. The most important thing, the only thing really, that I can glean from this horrible experience is this: that everything we make, everything that divides us, is an illusion. Whether it be taxes, politics, whatever you will. We tear each other apart through war, strife. I'd like to say this: my listeners are very intelligent and they're very wise. One of the points of this podcast is friendship and love. And folks, it's okay to love someone. It's okay for gentlemen and ladies to stand up and say they love one another. There is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing weak about caring for another human being. I was fortunate enough to have Ed Mizik call me brother. What do you do? How do you respond to something like that? And I know this perhaps is not the platform for me to vent or speak of my feelings, but it is the only way I know how. Yes, there will be a tribute episode to Christopher Lee. It is coming, but as you can tell, things have a way of standing in front of us. I am grateful for the friendship and the care that my friend, nay family, gave to me. And I have a message for all of you out there that are listening. 1, I appreciate you. You're the best. And 2, please be nice and kind and sweet to each other. Please. Don't waste it. Don't waste the fleeting opportunities you have to make a mark in the world. Don't waste them. Stay away from the bad things and the people who divide you. Take comfort in those who love you, and do so in turn. All right, folks, we're back at the Dracula Podcast. I apologize for my diatribe, but when it has to come out, it has to come out. I've received tons of correspondence this week, and I don't have time to go through it. And I apologize. You know how much I care for you. You know how much I value your input and opinions. And it's not just filler. I appreciate each and every one of you. So, with that odd and uncomfortable segue, we head right into Casting Dread. Alright folks, here it is. This is our subcast, entitled Casting Dread, the Penny Dreadful Show. The 8th episode of the 2nd season of Penny Dreadful is entitled Momento Mori. It was written by John Logan and directed by Carrie Skoglund. Once again, characters drive the story, but Vanessa does not appear in this episode. Neither does Ethan Chandler. So does the episode hold up? Let's talk about Caliban. He has returned with a vengeance, and Mary Shelley is throbbing through his lines. If you haven't read Mary Shelley, shame on you. This episode is very much about the literary characters. Lily has changed. Lily has learned to lie. Oddly enough, Lily has learned mistruth from Victor himself. Lily has learned to play with the corpse of her victim, literally. Caliban forces the issue of love. Lily remembers her past, all of it. Never again will she kneel to a man. Seems like she owns Caliban, even physically. Then she puts Caliban in her place. She wants to kill Victor with Caliban, together. He calls Caliban love, brother, equal. She wants to rule mankind. Lily has regained all of her memories, and perhaps knows the identity of her murderer. Dorian Gray. Story evolves. Angelique discovers Dorian's painting in his special room. Dorian wonders if Angelique can love him. Of course she can love him. But yet he poisons her because he does not believe it. Dorian revealing his darker nature, duality. But once again, what's the point of Dorian Gray? We've seen his painting and we know his secret. But again, he's just there for romantic fodder. And now, since Angelique is gone, he is further pushing himself away from everyone else. Once again, I don't see the point. Last week was a little bit of a push for Dorian to join the group or rejoin the plot, but again, he's by himself. It is a waste of a character. The Inspector. The Inspector questions and interrogates Sir Malcolm at his own home, questioning him about the death of Mina. And despite all the monsters and the creatures and the supernatural, it's the Inspector that has the upper hand. He knows the lies, the mistruths, and many dirty secrets. He will not rest until he has Ethan Chandler. That story is going to play itself out very interestingly. Sir Malcolm. Sir Malcolm is lamenting on his former cruelty. He's a stranger to himself, and he wants to take the woman who took him down. So he goes and seeks Evelyn out, against the others' wishes, of course. Evelyn offers Malcolm to walk forever with her. Malcolm agrees, as long as Vanessa can live. But of course, Vanessa cannot live, and Sir Malcolm refuses her. She locks Sir Malcolm up in the room with the corpse of her own son. Then as he weeps, his dead children begin to rise. Evelyn is searching for Vanessa, but Lyle knows nothing. Hecate is still pursuing the coup, asks about Ethan, and pushing the point with her mother. However, the big reveal in this episode is the completion of the Verbus Diablo. Many of you are wondering why we call it the Dracula Podcast if we're talking about Penny Dreadful. I'm going to read to you the complete version of the Verbus Diablo. In the great war for the heavenly throne, we were vanquished. So God looked down on his defeated angels and found us to be evil angels, So he cast us out. He took us by our winged backs and raised us over his head. Thence did he fling us from his heavenly throne and cast us down to earth and to hell. So we were cleaved apart, 2 brothers cast out to 2 realms, 1 brother on earth and the other brother to hell, and thus were we set in eternal enmity, my brother on earth to feed on the blood of the living by night, and myself in hell to feed on the souls of the dead, both in an eternal quest for the mother of evil, who will release us from our bondage and allow one of us to reconquer heaven and topple God from his bloody throne. So will the darkness reign on earth, in heaven, everlasting. And so comes the apocalypse. So we were right, and we were wrong. Dracula and the devil are the same, but with an excellent twist. Since the devil was thrown to earth, he was splintered in 2. One is in hell, Satan, and Dracula is on earth. And if you listen to Dracula's speeches in Stoker, it makes quite a bit of sense, given Van Helsing's quotes, which we've stated before, quite amazing. Dracula is the brother of the devil, committed to feed on earth. He is in competition with Lucifer for the mother of evil to topple heaven. In Season 1, we saw Dracula pursuing Vanessa through his vampires. In Season 2, we see Lucifer attempting to get Vanessa through the witches, Evelyn Poole, Hecate, and the rest. So, moving forward, we now know that Dracula is on the show. We now know his presence has been felt. He and the devil, though one and the same, are 2 different beings. Brothers. So will Season 3 see Dracula? We've got 2 more episodes left, and I have a feeling that a lot of these questions are going to be answered and leaving us hungry for Season 3, which thankfully is coming to Showtime, and Penny Dreadful has been renewed. Again, it tops itself. The Verbus Diablo was amazing. The twist for Dracula not only makes perfect sense, but it makes him a very real threat, equally as threatening as Lucifer. He and Lucifer, being of the same blood, goes directly into Bram Stoker. The word, Dracula, devil, brother of the devil. Interesting. I can't wait to see what they do with the character. It was well directed, well acted. Although Josh Hartnett and Eva Green wasn't there, it is still the best episode yet. It continues to top itself. Brutal, sad, it's well directed, well edited. The performances are amazing, minus the Dorian Gray storyline. It's a fantastic show. It's an almost flawless show. Folks, we've got 2 more left this season, and we've got Count Dracula coming very soon. So stay tuned. Alright folks, we're back at the Dracula Podcast. That was Casting Dread, the Penny Dreadful show. We hope you've been enjoying the season as much as we have. Don't forget, Sunday, 10 p.m. on Showtime. Don't miss it for the world. And now it's time for the media review portion of our show, or as Professor Van Helsing calls it,
the ghastly paraphernalia of our beneficial trade.
If you're feeling blue, just listen to Van. He can make those bad thoughts go away. Because that's his job, really. John Johnson is back. We are cracking part 5 of our 8-part history into yesteryear of the Universal Monsters franchise. We started off by covering Dracula's daughter, and then Son of Frankenstein. And we're getting into that right now.
Speaking of sequels, this is one we've already reviewed and covered, and it does get the podcast seal of approval, is Lambert Hillier's 1936 version of Dracula's Daughter. Lambert Hillier also is known for directing the Batman serials of the 40s. But the first time that I recognized Lambert Hillier was from Dracula's Daughter. Mm-hmm. We talked about the film being really funny. We talked it not taking itself too seriously.
Right.
The cinematography, Edward Van Sloan's back to reprise his role as Van Helsing. Mm-hmm. We've heard all this. It's a good film. Talk about it.
Well, I mean, we open up, of course, right after Dracula has been staked from the 1931 film, although nothing looks the same. The set's different. Van Sloan's wardrobe is different.
No armadillos.
No armadillos. There's not. I mean, it's completely different scene. But this is where that Universal decides to open itself up. So there's a little inconsistency in the beginning. Van Helsing has to then explain to the police what he's just done, and of course he is detained. In the meantime, Dracula's body is taken by his daughter and cremated, basically. Wonderful looking wax dummy of Lugosi in the casket. But and then we're introduced to this character of his daughter, who is just spellbinding. Really, I think she was a wonderful Countess Zaleska, yes, and she's just a phenomenal character. And then we're taken for a ride.
They put a little bit of touches of Carmilla in it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't overly done. I think it was actually very artsy and tasteful.
Yeah.
When the model goes into Countess Zaleska's flat, and Countess Zaleska entices her of, I'm going to paint you and I'm going to pay you money.
Mm-hmm.
It also touches a little bit on poverty of the era, and it also touches on the evolving sexuality. Censors didn't really care for it, but I think it was very well done, very tasteful. It shows Countess Zaleska is tragic, a little bit romantic, and very dangerous at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite part of the film was the relationship between the two stars. I thought it was a tit for tat. They added a lot of comedy in it. It was very well done.
They were the perfect team, quite frankly, in my opinion, when it comes to a relationship on the screen for that type of film. They played off of each other so well and had such a rapport.
For males and females, the chemistry, I've rarely seen better chemistry in the 30s.
True.
Than that relationship there.
Yeah.
And we already gave it a thumbs up. How about you?
Oh, absolutely thumbs up.
It's a great film. I know that I might have to turn in my fan card for this, but my favorite film of the Frankenstein series comes in 1939, directed by Roland V. Lee. It's The Son of Frankenstein. It has three of the kings of cinema: Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, and Basil Rathbone. That is the creature, Dracula, and Sherlock Holmes. Even if the script was awful, which it's not, how can you not love the film?
That's exactly right. Well, for me, Basil Rathbone, I mean, you heard how I spoke about Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and how Cushing could do no wrong. Well, Rathbone is that times 100. I mean, Rathbone was the greatest in my opinion, and one of the most underrated actors in Hollywood that was, up to a certain point in time, was given nothing but heavy villain roles, including roles with Errol Flynn and Tyrone Power as villains. Great swordsman, though. Great swordsman. But this was a chance for Basil to do something else, and this is right around the time when he was doing The Hound of the Baskervilles and The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes for 20th Century Fox. So you've got that in as well, and Basil also that same year would do Tower of London for Universal. So he's starting to play with Universal, and we have maybe the shadows of what is to come in 1942 with the full relationship with Universal, where he would go on and do the Sherlock Holmes series with Nigel Bruce and all. He does a great job as Wolf Frankenstein, Henry's son. It's just a great film. It really is. It was shot well. It's an imaginative story. Settings are a little different than they were in the original, so there's, the continuity's not there. And Bela is exceptional in this one as Igor.
Bela Lugosi gets to stretch. Mm-hmm. And when he's given a meaty role, there are really three roles where he gets to really push: Count Dracula, Dr. Richard Vallon, and Igor.
Yes.
His voice is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
He looks unrecognizable except for just right around the eyes.
Yeah.
This is Basil Rathbone's film.
Mm-hmm.
He's the star. But you've got these two other great actors backing him up. It's a solid script. It's well shot. I don't mind that the sets are different. I think it's actually an improvement because it's more atmospheric.
It is.
It feels like something one could actually experience. It feels like someone could actually walk in through and experience the film Son of Frankenstein.
Also, something else to talk about is Lionel Atwill's performance, as well as the policeman there, who would later be parodied in Young Frankenstein with his wooden arm. Great job there. The monster is back to being mute once again.
I don't mind. I don't mind him being mute. because also he's gone through different levels of destruction.
That he has.
Every film he can't die. He's temporarily destroyed, he's died by fire, he got thrown into the pit at the end of this film. So I'm not sure what that would do to the brain.
That's true.
An intelligent being like Count Dracula, it really wouldn't affect too much. But a being that was a hodgepodge of other humans might take a different route. But that perhaps is a little bit of overthinking. Not thinking at all, just going on instinct. I absolutely give this the Dracula Podcast seal of approval.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Unfortunately, you can't see this film on Blu-ray.
What a shame.
Universal, listen to me. Put out Dracula's Daughter, Son of Frankenstein, and The Raven on Blu-ray. Focus in on there. And if you want someone to help you do Dracula, give me a call. I'm right here.
We hope you've enjoyed part 5 of our 8-part history into yesteryear of the Universal Monsters franchise. We're back with John Johnson next week as we crack the Wolfman, as well as Phantom of the Opera 1943. Don't forget that the 9th episode of the 2nd season of Penny Dreadful is entitled And Hell Itself My Only Foe. It's 10 p.m. Sunday on Showtime. Don't miss it. Things are heating up. You've heard the twist. There's no reason why you fans can't get in and miss it. I thank you once again for allowing me the opportunity to pay some very small modicum of respect to my dear friend. I miss him. I leave you with this parting message.
Could you look, sir, into my heart? You would approve to the full the sentiments which animate me. Nay more, you would count me amongst the best and truest of your friends.